Hello, hi, and welcome back to the channel. You know who I am, your favorite big sister, D Nice, and we're back for this one episode, and then we'll see after. So, as a lot of you know, I did a series called Faith and Feelings, where I was talking about mental health, the importance of mental health, and the church, and why it is important for us to come together as the body of Christ to ensure that people's mental well-being is taken care of, as well as many other things. And little did I know that I was going to go into a little season myself of experiencing what that looks like in real time, and maybe for a real congregant of the church. So for the past 2 to 3 months, I've really been struggling with my mental health, right? Horrendously, I tell you. A lot of crying, a lot of just being down in the pits and just saying, God, if it's time, it's time. I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't, like, the whole David and Elijah thing where you're like, I'm just tired. Like, I don't want to go through this anymore. And, I remember at some point feeling like a hypocrite, because I tell you guys that you need to find somebody to speak to, you need to tell somebody, you need to communicate. And I found myself becoming more and more, or feeling more and more isolated. And the devil wants you isolated. He wants you by yourself, hiding, boxed up, not talking to anyone. And that's where he can play with your mind. Hence the feeling of hypocrisy was sort of dwelling in me, as well as shame, as well as anger, frustration, self-loathing, self-hate, and just asking myself, like, really, like, God, really? And just feeling like he was far away from me, but it ended up being me that was far from him. And we'll talk about that some other time. But it's that feeling of guilt where people rely on you so much that you forget to check in with yourself sometimes. And the more you neglect and the less you check up on yourself, the more you ignore. And the more you ignore, the worse it gets, the worse the burden gets, the worse the feeling gets. So it just accumulates itself and you end up becoming congested, right? Somebody was like, think of it like, what is it? Constipation, right? You keep eating and eating and eating and eating and eating. And because nothing is coming out, you end up bloated, and that bloating therefore causes a lot of imbalances in the body. So I think it's the same. I describe it as the same thing with feelings and emotions. If you keep just holding it in and not doing what is required for you to release that emotion, eventually you'll get to a point where now you need serious help, right? And I wanted to hide it from people, but eventually the mask started to crack, and people could see now that something's wrong, even here at home. And I started feeling bad that now people could see that I'm not fine, and I'm not fine. And you hide your feelings from people because you fear judgment, you fear being prosecuted, and you fear that advice of, you just need to pray more, you just need to more, you just need to you don't want to hear that, because what you want, like I said, is practical steps. A lot of us just want practical advice. And when I finally spoke up about it, the first thing I wanted to do, or the first thing I could say my body wanted to do, was to just release myself from responsibility. So I went to my departmental leader and I was like, hey, listen, I just need a little bit of a break, and I'm glad that she brought up therapy. She's like, no, I can see that you're not okay. Therapy, let's see what we can do to help you. And, once that was out in the open, and I told several other people in church as well, people that I loved and trusted, I felt myself being, there was like a sense of relief that came afterwards, of like, okay, now somebody knows. Now somebody understands how I feel, and they respect the choices or the requests that I'm making. And, there was no primo, there was no nothing. There was a There were practical things that were being done in order to help me. And, I came to a point where I was like, later on, of late, I was like, you know what? It really does help to speak out. It really does help to state what it is that your problem is to the right people, because they will give you the right help that you need. There's no point in hiding it, because the devil wants you to hide it, of course, so that he can make your mind his playing field, so he can feed you nonsense, so that he can tell you nonsense and convince you of a narrative that is absolutely not true. And going back to the episodes that I did, we were talking about Elijah, who was just like, I had enough. That's where I was like, I've just had enough. I'm tired of the disappointment. I'm tired of the shortfalls. I'm tired of the failures. I feel like a failure. I can't even get anything right. I'm giving my all and pouring my all into people, places, and things, and I'm just not getting what I want back, or I'm not yielding any results. But then the places that, it's a conversation I had, the places that I'm pouring into are those the places that God said I should pour into. We're very quick to pour into cups that God never intended us to pour into. Hence, we end up feeling empty. Hence, we end up feeling frustrated. Hence, we end up feeling angry, because we're putting our time and energy in a specific season into things that we're not supposed to be putting time and energy into. And I had to learn to stop. And right now I'm refilling my cup, because my cup was empty. And I think my cup was also a little bit broken. It was leaking somewhere, right? And, I remembered the scripture, 2 Corinthians 12:9, saying that my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And I think I genuinely felt the hand of God during that time, and I'm still seeing it and feeling it, because now I'm getting better and I'm seeing patterns, behaviors, things that I did that led me to this point that were not, those are things I was not supposed to be doing, if I really looked at it. And yes, some of the pain, hurt, frustration that we feel is self-inflicted. I think that's a reality that I'm sitting in, where I realize that this is the consequence of my own actions. Some of the other stuff is events, experiences, and things that have happened to me that I never truly dealt with, that are now coming out and affecting me to this point. It's not like they never affected me before, but now it's worse because it was never dealt with. It was swept under the rug, covered up, we move forward. One thing I just like to tell people is, don't buy into the nonchalant culture. Don't buy into the keep pushing culture. Don't buy it into the suck it up and move on culture. Don't do that. It's more harmful than you realize. We are humans. We are made to express. We are made to release. We're not supposed to keep everything in, because it's not everything that we keep in that's supposed to be in there. We are vessels, yes, but we are filling our vessels with the wrong things. We are keeping things within our vessels that we don't need to keep. Yes, we can keep them for a season, but at some point we have to let those things go. And we need to move on, and we need to grow and make room for newer things. And, somebody said to me that with you holding in everything that you're holding, with your vessel being full of things that are not supposed to be there, what makes you believe that God is going to put more in there if there's no room for the blessing, the favor, the grace, and the mercy that you're looking for? There is no room. So God is saying, release those things so that I can put in what I'm supposed to put into you. And that was the turning point of everything, where I was like, yeah, true. Professional help is important, ladies and gentlemen. Talking to people that are well versed and knowledgeable and have wisdom is very important, because they help you to see things in a way that you probably wouldn't have seen. They open your eyes to a perspective that's completely different. They help you identify parts of you that you refuse to identify. They help you work through issues that you're supposed to work through. And and also, I think as well, I spoke about community. Community is very important. You know, after I spoke about what I had gone through, there were people that would check on me weekly, sometimes every other day. Some people would call, some people would text. They were like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Just wanted to check up on you and see if you're doing okay. If you ever need anything, please do let me know. You know, and that's what I realized, that community is so important. Having the right people in your circle is important. You know, because those people want to see you do well. They want to see you happy. They want to see you thrive and succeed and be better. And, you know, seeking help is not a lack of faith. That's where your faith is being exercised, because you're putting power into something that isn't you anymore. You're relying on something greater than you to help you get through a situation. And I think that's what we all need to learn. And being honest with God. You know, I think the one thing, there's a quote that God doesn't bless who you pretend to be, God blesses who you really are. And there came a point where I really had to be honest with God, be like, my guy, nah, you know, I'm not happy, I'm not okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I feel disappointed, I feel angry, I feel this and this and that, and I'm so sick and tired of this. I know I've committed this sin, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done that, and I'm just sick of it. You know, I'm just tired, and I really would like to move forward with my life. I'm ready for the next chapter. I want to leave this behind, and I want to move forward. Does not mean, though, that once you've said that prayer, everything just... No, it's a work in progress. I always tell you, healing is not linear. It's not the same every day. You'll have good days and bad days. It's just a fluctuation. Eventually everything balances and you can handle everything, but I'm not at the place of balance yet. I'm working towards balance. And you know, we always think that God cannot handle who we really are, but I was reminded, your parents are your parents because they were blessed with they were anointed to be able to handle you. Same thing with God. God was not anointed, but God is anointed to handle you. I mean, you came from him. What makes you think he cannot handle you and what you're going through, what you're struggling with? You just have to trust him. Another thing I struggle with is trusting God and humans. Work on it, work through it. You know what I mean? But, you know, I at this current point I don't have all the answers. I'm not a therapist yet. I'm not a pastor. Do I want to be one? I don't know. I'm just a person who really and genuinely loves God and really wants to work on the calling that God, you know, the calling that I have, my purpose. And also another thing, you guys know me, I'm a lover of all things, love community, people, and all of that stuff. And I always encourage people to, we get it wrong, right? With friends, family, we get it wrong. We'll somehow get it wrong. But it's in how we resolve those things and how we work through those things as a community, as in our interpersonal relationships, and our relationship with God, most importantly. It's how we handle and come back and resolve issues that, you know, helps us progress and move forward. And also we learn and we grow as we go along in this journey of life. So this is where I am. I'm not talking from a place of completely healed and okay. I'm talking to you from in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the road. I've made a pit stop somewhere and I'm just having this conversation with you. But I'm going to proceed forward. But as I proceed forward, I think I'll be coming back with what I'm learning and what I've learned, and just to give you guys a word of encouragement and just letting you guys know that you are not alone on this planet. What you're going through, somebody out there has gone through it, has passed it, and can help you get through it. So as I go along this journey, be patient, be kind with me and each other. We don't know what we are going through individually and where we are in life Just because you are at a better place does not mean you can ridicule and demean me for not being where you are. I'll get there one day, but be patient. Advise where you can, be supportive where you can, be practical where you can, show up where you can, and do the best that you can. We are all doing this life thing together. Nobody's better than the other. We're going through this journey. We're all on different lanes, roads, journeys, destinations. It's not all the same. So, as the Sunday service came at the right time, where mercy is so important. We are very quick to be harsh and very quick to just be vicious and mean and crude and cruel and demean and all of that stuff, but we forget that mercy is so important. We need to show each other mercy and be like, you know what? They were probably having a bad day that day. Let me not take it to heart. Let me not take offense. So, as we have been praying this week, God, have mercy on me. We also need to show mercy for others. Mercy and grace for others. So, guys, in this journey of life, let's show love, light, and happiness. And I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.